What do we know, everybody? On a daily basis, working out here at the farm, I get, well, one day off every 2 weeks, maybe, if I'm lucky. There are certain things I really enjoy doing, like working on equipment. Even this feed truck over here. Working on stuff like that, I really enjoy, turning wrenches. And there are certain things that I don't enjoy. And there are certain things that I really swear I never want to work on again. And, well, I'll come over here and you can see behind me that green thing right there with a strap over it. That is a roller. And on that roller is an elevator. The roller rolls the corn, or cracks the corn, whatever you want to say. And it makes the corn more easily digestible by the cattle. Otherwise, it'd just go right through them. And dumps it down into a little tray. And then the elevator picks it up, takes it up, puts it in the feed truck. Well, last year, I was at a doctor's appointment for my boy. And boss man had the elevator chain break. So I had to pull the whole elevator down, wait forever for parts, put in a few new parts. And that whole process took months. Well, I had my chain come apart the beginning of last week. And what ended up happening was on the connector links on one side, the little pin that goes through was sheared. And then I knocked it off sprocket on the other side, and I'll explain to you exactly what happened here in a minute, but I'm going to show you what the chain looks like. So this right here is the old elevator chain. And you can see there's two sprockets that would hook into these, and these paddles are what brings up your corn. Pretty simple concept. Old school chain, that's how it is. So now I'm going to take you over here to our whole setup and kind of show you how everything works. Alright, so the corn comes out of either the harvester with this or out of a bin with this one. Dumps it in this hopper, goes down in there, the rollers roll it up, crack it up, and then it dumps it down into here where a cross auger in here takes it to the center, dumps it down into this little bucket, and then it goes right on up the elevator and into the feed truck. Now you can see there's a couple of pieces on here that are not the typical green of this machine. That bottom piece, we had that rebuilt, custom made, because the other one was very, very thin, almost wearing through, had pinholes in it. So he did the right idea, getting a new one of those. And then we had a 2-foot extension we put up towards the top, had that made as well. And then we also put new shafts and sprockets up top and down low here, and everything should have been good, but they're on the bottom, right down in there. The set screws out of the sprockets on one side fell out. They worked themselves out with vibration, they come on out, sprocket shifted, and that's what happened. Broke that pin, and then everything knocked off of the other sprocket, which is good that we didn't break any chain. We just broke that pin. That's an the easiest fix you can have. It's not easy, but it's the easiest fix you can have. But put everything together, and now putting this thing back together is a pain, and I'll show you. So the main idea when you're putting this back together is you got to throw a chain up around there somewhere, and you can see right up in here where that's all bent up. But you got to lift this thing at a specific angle. You got to get it above this flange and inside these ears, and then you got to get these to connect in. But in the process, you also had to get this yellow piece to go out and around of where that stuff goes down. And you can see we got some patches here, and I'll explain that here in just a second. So we got some pretty big problems with this thing. One of the big problems, you've seen the patches down low where that cross auger goes. Well, on the other side, via the right side, it is like one big hole. It's all rusted out. It's really thin. We could pull that whole bottom tray off, and we could put a new one on, but he didn't order one last time, didn't order one this time. So we got to deal with that. Last time, I was able to straighten it, put some patches on it, seal it up. Worked great. Well, this time we had a few hiccups putting this together. Now, I sat there and I thought of some things that I knew would work. Same thing we did last time. Well, he had sat and thought about this since 3 in the morning, and he had his way of wanting to do it. So, boss man has his way, you do it his way. We put a bolt in, got a bolt in there, couldn't get the other rear in, so he thought that he'd switch chain up and everything would work just peachy. Well, he went to do that, and the whole elevator here went that way. Fell over. So we had, let's see if you can see in here. Yeah, you can't really see it. But there is a little hole right there, and I've straightened that up quite a bit, so it ain't so bad. But he did that, and then we also have an issue at the bottom, where it looks a lot worse than what it did before, because everything went up into there. So that yellow piece, right there, it's all bent up, it's all twisted up. I can't do anything about that. Well, it did that, and it also went up into that bottom tray, bent that up a whole lot worse than what it was before, and it has just been a mess. And to get this the right way, we actually had to do it the way that I wanted to do it in the first place. And we got it up there. I got things straightened out to where the paddles aren't hitting, where the cross auger's not hitting. And I got it to where I could load corn, but now I have to get everything sealed up. Looks like garbage, but at this point, it's just what we got to do. I mean, I'm not going to be able to make patches to go over that to stop that corn from going out and make it look good. It's just too bent up, too rusty. It got too boogered up this time. It's one of them deals. I'm going to flip you back around here. So I showed you guys this side. This side ain't so bad, but you see I had to put sheet metal screws in there to pull this green part back to the yellow part. That's a patch that was in there before. You see it got bent up. And if you look, see if you can see this way. Yeah, you really can't, but the yellow stuff is twisted. You can see my bearing part right in here. You can see I got a gap there now. Got a gap over here. This is the really bad side. He had bent that up, ripped a hole in it. It is just miserable. And that is a patch right up in here that I put on before that was flush. Not anymore. It is not a good deal. This, you can see this yellow part's all bent up and beat up. And if I got you up under there, you can see how bad this green piece really is. Not to mention, this piece right here, this elevator part, it is all buggered up, all bent up. You can't see it too much looking at this direction, but it is bad. So, I don't know. I'm not proud of it. I mean, it works, but this thing took 3 days, 3 to 4 days total to mess with, and it could have been maybe a 1.5 day job at most if we would have stuck with my method in the first place, I guess. But that's one of those deals where you get mad, you get frustrated, and you don't know exactly what's going to work, and what we did screwed things up worse. And now this is going to look horrible, and I got a lot of corn to clean up. Keep trying to find holes and keep filling them up, and it works. It gets the job done, but what a pain. And in case you're wondering, when they sent us those sprockets and those set screws, they did not want Loctite and those set screws. Well, I Loctited the heck out of all of them to this time. I'm not doing this again. I don't want to deal with this. I hate it. I hate this elevator. I hate dealing with this thing. And furthermore, flip you around again. So you can see we got this up on blocks here and up on blocks there. And we do that so this thing has something solid to stand on instead of just on the dirt. Well, in his process of trying to twist this thing around with the loader and do his whole little bit that bent all that up, he pulled this thing clear off. I mean, it's clear over here. And this thing is a very well balanced machine. So if you lift up on any end or the other, it wants to roll and tip and everything else. I mean, this is where it's perfect. A little too far this way or that way, it wants to tip. So he decided we put a chain over here, we'd lift up on it, we'd drag it over, get it on this board. Well, when we tried that, this end over here dug down about 6 inches. So that turned into a 2-day ordeal, just trying to get it back up on blocks and back where it's supposed to go. So that's how my last week went. I worked my tail off from the moment I got here. Got home late every night. Never felt like I made any progress. I mean, it was 90-something degrees, no breeze. Just sitting over here fighting with this thing, cussing with this thing. I mean, it is what it is. It's not fun. It's not easy. But, we got it did. But it just goes to show you a little bit of patience and taking a break, stepping away, calming down, looking at things rationally, and not getting a thought in your head that this is the way things have to be. Start simple. Simple don't work. Move to more complicated. But how I got this back in here, because you can never get this to go in straight, I'll flip you and show you again. So we could get this ear in right here, but we couldn't get the big bolt through it. So I put a little bolt in there. And then what I was doing, and what I did last time, was I'd take one of these big ratchet straps, not this one. I don't remember why we had this one like this. But I'd hook it right here, and then I'd run it around back here, something solid on the side, and just ratchet that in and get it turned into the right spot to get a bolt through here. And then we could tip it and get these straps on. And that was what I was in the process of doing when he decided that's not what we were going to do. Is what is. I mean, I'm not talking smack saying that he should have listened to me from the start, because I've made plenty of bad decisions and I've made things more difficult than they need to be plenty of times. But in this case, if that was working, which it was, we should have stuck with it. It is what it is. I mean, I'm a little bit salty about it, a little bit mad about it, because I'm the one that has to deal with this whole mess here. And I also got to deal with his attitude when he has a bad day and comes out here and gets mad that don't look brand new. But it is what it is. I mean, it's one of them things. These things happen. Bad decisions get made. Things get screwed up. But goodness gracious. Not to mention, I almost got that thing dumped on me about 3 times. I had this roller. When it rolled back into me. Could have been a bad deal. Could have been a bad day. But when it all come down to it, my ratchet strap idea, pull this bad boy in, was what worked. To get this roller back up on those blocks, my ideas were what worked. Simple. I like simple. And he likes loaders. And you don't get a lot of room in here with the loader. There's no room to really maneuver it around the right direction you would need it. But he figures bigger is better. It's a good farmer mentality. but you don't have the control with the loader that you need to do something like this. A little bit goes a long way. If it would have had finer control, he probably wouldn't have knocked it off those blocks. Same thing, if he would have had finer control, he probably wouldn't have dug a big hole like that. But when I use a ratchet strap to move things around, it's not that hard to do. It moves pretty easy, but I got one click control. I can move it little by little, and I can make minor adjustments as I'm going to make sure everything goes smoothly, and to make sure I'm not going to break anything or ruin anything. But whatever, doesn't matter. I think I've complained about this long enough, guys. I'm going to go back doing other things, and I'll come at y'all later. But at any rate, guys, I thank y'all for watching.